Hello, I'm Dr. Harper. This video is a homework Excel tutorial part D in Operations Management Business Forecasting. So let's bring up the problem. A company has historically used quarterly sales for one quarter as a forecast for the next quarter. Well, that's a moving average with a window of 1, and it's called the naive forecast. The company has usually been satisfied with this approach since the error was less than 10%. However, they have noticed that the error for the first quarter of each year was consistently too excessive. Kevin, the new MBA member of the forecasting committee, suggests possible components beyond a random component that may contribute to the growing first quarter error, since the presently used naive forecast implies only a random component. That's true. And so one thing in passing about this sentence is that when you're the new MBA member of the forecasting committee and you make suggestions, well, make sure you're ready to do them, because if you suggest it, you'll be doing it. Having been charged with the analysis, and that's what's going to happen, Kevin collected the time series, and there it is. Other than random, which component or components did Kevin find? Based on Kevin's findings, what's the correct forecast for quarter 21? And Kevin was also asked to report on his findings concerning the character of the time series. And so we have these questions here, or these statements here. So let's just solve the problem. Let's take the data, Control C, copy it, and let's open up Excel. We come down here, Control V, paste, and so there's our time series. Okay, and so let's enlarge it so we can see what we're doing here. Okay, so now that we have our time series, let's copy it, bring it down here, and we can first take this and just create a line plot very easily, right here to 20. Okay, it's quarterly data. There's 20, so it's 5 years of quarterly data. Go Insert, Graph, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, well, we can see here 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So there's certainly a seasonal component, and there's certainly a trend component. Okay, since it's seasonal, what we want to do is block the data. Okay, so let's take the data again. Come down here, paste the values, and now let's block the data. So this is our time series. Okay, and this will be year 1, year 2, year 3, oops, year 4, and year 5. Okay, so let's bring this down here. Let's say, okay, well, year 2 is going to start with time period 5. Year 3, actually, let's bring this up here. Move this up here, and there it is. Okay, year 3 is going to start with 9. Year 4 is going to start with 13. And year 5 is going to start with 17. Okay. Good. Okay, we have these 4 and then these 4, but then we can copy these over. And so we have these 4 for the next 4, 9, 10, 11, and 12 for year 3, 13, 14, 15, 16 for year 4, and then finally year 5 here is going to be 17, 18, 19, 20 for year 5. Okay, so let's take this and make sure these are values here. And once we have these, we don't need these anymore. So let's just go ahead and delete these. There we go. Okay, now then, let's get our slope. Now we're going to analyze this. Well, we can analyze it, but let's plot it also. Now that we're here, let's go ahead and plot the stack data. And whoops, let's put quarter 1 up here, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. Now we could, quarter, not quarterly, there we go. And now we can plot this, insert, and we have our stack plot. It's pretty, it's very consistent from year to year to year. So there's that year 1 trend, year 2. So we can see from the line plot. So that right there is year 1. The orange is the year 2 is there, year 3. So there's a trend going up, and there's a pattern. So that's seasonal. So we can see we have those. Okay. So now let's come back and analyze it. Let's start with the slope. Because we have an annual trend. Because it's seasonal, we block it. Because there's a trend, we get the slope. The function is slope. And actually, let me back up here and put the actual independent variables here. There's 5 of them. Equals slope of the data. And there we go. Comma. Time periods F4. And now, there they are. We're going to copy these over. And that's the seasonal trend for each quarter. We take the average of the seasonal trends, and we get the seasonally adjusted trend. Now to get the indexes, we take the seasonal values, the seasonal index, the seasonal trend, divided by the seasonally adjusted trend, F4 to freeze it, and then we copy it over. And there it is. Okay, now that's a time series. So next, let's get the seasonally adjusted time series. And so at this point, we're going to have, let's take the quarters here, copy those and bring them down. Take the years, there's 5 of them. Actually, copy those and bring them down. There they are. So now let's get the seasonally adjusted time series. Okay, so here we equals the data point divided by the index in F4 to fix it. Okay, for the second quarter equals our seasonal value divided by the seasonal index will give us our seasonally adjusted value. Same for quarter 3 and same for quarter 4. The seasonal value divided by the index. And we can copy this down. And there it is. Okay, and now we can get the slope down here also. To be complete, here's this, comma 1 through 5, F4, and then we can copy that over. Now we probably will want the forecasts here, so move these down and get the forecasts. Equals the intercept of our data, comma our time index, F4 to freeze that, plus our slope, which is right here, times our year. In this case, it's going to be 6. Same thing down here. Equals the intercept of our data, our time series, comma our time, which is the independent variable, plus our slope, which is right here, times the actual time period, which is year 6. And so now we can copy this over. There's our forecast. We can copy this over. There's our forecast. Okay. And so now, again, what types of components did Kevin find? Right here, he found a linear trend and a seasonal component. So answering these questions, he found a seasonal and trend component. What is the forecast? What's the correct forecast for quarter 21? Okay, so let's see here. Here is, let's bring this out of the way. Here we go. Here's 2021, then the forecast is 4704, and sure enough, 4704. Now here, we have a number of questions here. What is the annual trend of the seasonally adjusted quarterly time series? Well, the annual trend of the seasonally adjusted time series, the annual trend here is going to be 480. There it is. See the 480. So this is a quarterly, seasonally adjusted quarterly time series. Well, from year to year, it's going to be consistent 480. The seasonal index for 21, so it's going to be 1.2. That's going to be right there. The seasonally adjusted forecast for 22, it's going to be 4040, and there it is. And finally, the seasonal trend for the quarterly time series for the fourth quarter of every year. So here's the fourth quarter, here's the seasonal quarterly time series, the seasonal trend is going to be 384. So here's just some of the information people may want from an analysis. So this little table, you have your graphs for your reports over here. Let's see here. You have your graphs for your reports over here, stacked graph, line plot, and then you have your table here to pull off your data, and also diagnostics. So that's all I have for this part D. I hope this helps. Take care.